Hey!
Hello, everyone.
What's going on? How's everybody?
He's already drunk.
This is really good. I'm
He's
starting.
drunk on life.
I'm excited. I'm excited, man.
Me too.
It's excitement.
It's been a good show.
Hey, everybody! How's everybody doing? We got in chat here. Jen, Green, Jebro, good to see ya. Super Nerd Dalton. What's going on? Oh.
He's the one who introduced me to the Loreseekers, actually.
No
Awesome.
kidding.
Welcome.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's
Welcome.
a friend of mine from high school, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're in love with ESO. You've got to check out this podcast." And then you guys have been stuck with me ever since.
Thank you, Super Nerd Dalton.
That's awesome. Oh, cool. Okay, who else we got in here? Spartan, Sarah Jane. What's going on? Mikey, good to see you. Cinda. Yeah, that's right. Sun's out, guns out. Not guns yet. We're working on that. We're working on that. We're kind of trying to lean down first, and then we're gonna.
Nordic Spartan's here. Sarah the Jane. Jen's here. Vikings here. All the friends are here.
Woo. Woo, that whiskey's so good. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. All right. Well, we're not going to waste anybody's time here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what you're hearing right now will be the actual show. We're not going to do any post-editing. We're doing this thing live, doing it different. We have a guest with us. And so, this is the final live show before elsewhere. We couldn't be more excited that you're here. Couldn't be more excited. Heck, we even get to cue up the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Loreseekers.
Hail, traveler. Be wary in these lands, for the skies overhead darken with the shadows of dragons' wings. The undercrofts overflow with the rise of the dead. There is danger afoot across the whole of elsewhere. Do you venture to brave these wilds? Then come inside, rest your well-traveled feet, and order up around. Share your tales with two of Tamriel's finest storytellers. Here they are now, the Loreseekers, Jibs and Cash.
Ooh, goodness. Long week,
Have a
man.
seat.
Oh,
Have a seat. We have a guest.
we do have a guest. We do have a guest. Hyperpixie.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. You're
so
here.
excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, you know what? Hang on. We gotta get a drink. We gotta drink. Barmaid! Barmaid!
What can I get you boys?
Oh, yeah, she'll respond to that.
Yeah, with a fine slap in the face. Cash, what are you doing?
I actually, at this particular tavern, the Blackbriar Reserve is outstanding.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. One of those. Pixie, what are you ordering? What's your?
I'm gonna do the Velvet LeChance this time.
Oh, all right. I'll take the Argonian ale. Without the Merkmeyer water, please. That would be fan-freaking-tastic.
That's part of it.
Coming right up.
The poop water's
The,
that's
the,
part of it.
the poop water.
Yep.
Oh, so we have a guest tonight, huh? Huh?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We're very excited to have her aboard.
There we are. Pixie, how are you?
Super. Very excited to be here. I'm very happy to be here. You guys are awesome.
Well, thank you very much. You're awesome. So before I get to Knucklehead, how was your week, Pixie? What'd you do in game?
I actually ran with you guys was the last thing that I did. And before that, I ran Scalecaller again. So, Scalecaller on Vet is something else. And I learned a lot from the dungeon.
Yeah.
And we attempted hard mode. We made a good effort.
We
I think
did.
we got her down to 73%.
We gave it the little college try. That's what that
We
was.
gave it a college try, and I think the breaking point of the night was when I cracked a joke. It might have been inappropriate or not, but Bubbles here
Huh.
laughed her ass off for a good 5 minutes straight before we could give it another shot.
Oh man, that was
Yeah.
so funny. That was such
I
a
was
hard
literally in
dungeon.
tears. Yeah, it was. It was brutal, and that's only the second Vet DLC dungeon that I ever attempted.
Really?
So, yeah. So that could have been partially my fault, just for the inexperience there. But I
no.
was.
I'm pretty sure it
I'm
was
trying
my
to-
fault. I just made that tune that day, respective and everything. So you could totally put that on me.
Literally, he did.
So
It was a lot of fun. and failing that much, it really gives you perspective on the hard content of the game, so
Oh my gosh,
it makes it even more fun to me.
Oh yeah,
So.
for sure. Cash, what'd you do this week?
I have had one hellish week.
Please
I
do
had
tell.
my week off. I
Yeah?
had my week off of work, and it turned into a lot of work, to be honest with you. I got a lot of ESO time in,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so without going into too many details, I got subpoenaed to court. No, not for child support issues, for a case I'm working at work. And I sold my real life mount.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I'm working on buying another real life mount.
Yeah?
And yeah, just took care of the house, and now I'm taking care of my girls who are sick from coming home from their trip.
Oh, did they get the canny hatton flu?
Yeah, they got the Manhattan flu, and it is what it is. So I keep telling them that whiskey will knock all that crap out, but they're not buying it. So yeah, and it was inventory management week when I was in ESO this week, and it turns out it's really, really hard to get rid of a lot of the stuff that you have because I'm a freaking hoarder. So
Yeah. See, my week has been kind of similar. We did the scale collar, and that was fun. I don't think I've ever said the F word so many times on a single stream ever. And we had.
To our credit, though, we had been drinking a little bit.
We crushed it though.
Yeah, we
beat it.
Crushed
We
it.
beat it.
Oh,
We beat it.
I tell you what, when we finished that, like, just this feeling of like pride just hits you, and you're just like, oh man, God, I love this game.
Yes.
I think I've said it way more than one time. I fall in love with this game every single day, especially when it challenges me. And if you want to see the challenges that we faced that evening, I believe both Hyperpixie and we have it up on our YouTube channels and stuff for you guys to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Yep. All right. Well, shoot. I guess we probably should jump in the show, huh? Whew. All right. Well, folks, this is the last episode before Elsewhere. And, this is Volume 4, Episode 4 of Loreseekers Podcast. A very special episode. This is Listener Week here on the show. Something brand spanking new that we're doing. We grab one of our listeners and we bring him on the show. And the show is all about them and ESO. And so tonight, before I introduce Cash, he's here. Yeah. We got a very special guest, streamer on Twitch, Loreseeker community member, Hyperpixie.
Hello. Glad to be here again.
So happy to have you. Cash, how you doing?
Oh, sorry. I was taking a swig of my whiskey. I'm amazing.
Yeah, good. And freaking-tastic.
We
Well,
have a good, we got a good lore lesson.
oh yeah,
today.
yeah, we got a lot going on tonight. It's gonna be good.
I did it for you.
Did you?
I did this lore lesson for you.
I made this for you. Awesome. Fantastic. All right, well, everybody, if you listened last week, or maybe you missed last week, we did a developer deep dive on Necromancers Alfred Molina on Abner Tharn. Elsewhere in Germany, dungeon lore returned, and a lore lesson on the chronology of ESO. In other words, what order to do the questing in. That's something you're looking to get involved with. But this week on the show, we're talking, got a lot. We got a whole lot. In fact, I forgot to even add some. Dungeon lore's back. We're doing Spindle Clutch, baby. Dungeon lore's back. We got
really challenging one.
yeah, we're gonna be talking Elsewhere's Sunspire Trial, more details on dragons and Elsewhere, and a lore lesson on. That's your cue. That's where you come in.
Oh, you cut out, so I was like, what? We're doing a lore lesson on the path to Lidge'dom.
It was like suspense, where you kind of just let them take over.
That's how it always is when I talk about lore. I wish. It's my delusions of grandeur.
Delusions of grandeur. Oh, what a world. Well, everybody, if we do sound a little bit different tonight, that's because we're taking this episode straight from the live show over at twitch.tv/Loreseekers podcast. So that would be the reason. But anyway, it's the last week before Elsewhere, and we got a lot of news. Cash, you ready for news?
Always ready for more news.
Fantastic. Let me grab my stuff. All right. Well, we got a quick note a quick edit from last week's episode. So, last week in the armory, we listed Spawnamafala's monster set as having the same abilities, same stats as the Dread Kingslayer set. Y'all picked up on that real quick and let us know that, hey, you're wrong. And we're like, thank you. So, that's not the case. And if you want to actually see everything with the Spawnamafala over at Loreseekerspodcast.com, which is brand spanking new, baby. That's
Yes,
what
it
I
is.
was doing.
And looks amazing.
Thank you very much.
All the credit goes to Jibs. I'm telling you right now, people, he absolutely kicked tail on that. And all right, why? Khajiit wants to step on my mixer. Not happening, Khajiit.
Yeah,
This
thanks.
one does not have wares. Stay off of my mixer.
I'm glad it's over. We're done. We got a new home, a brand new site. All the content is over there. It's available to you, loreseekerspodcast.com. We really wanted a way where we could. We didn't realize how much content we had until we put it all together again and
Yeah.
in different areas. We wanted to get our content as in front of you as much as possible in different ways. And holy crap, man. There's a lot of stuff. So if you're into
It's a
ESO
lot of
101s, lore
Yeah.
lessons, now dungeon lore, that's it's got its own bit there. Everything's there. Go check it out, loreseekerspodcast.com. So, all right. Let's get on with the nitty gritty. So for the very first, I don't know what we call this, article for the night. This is another one of those info articles. This is kind of like the final countdown before Elsewhere. And this first one coming to us, Face False Gods and Sunspire Elsewhere's new trial. This coming to us from ESO Official. They say, quote, claiming to be the avatar of Akatosh himself, the golden dragon Navantas and his followers have occupied the Temple of the First Cat. Learn about Sunspire, a new 12-player trial coming with the Elder Scrolls Online Elsewhere. All right. So this is kind of broken up into 3 different parts, and this is going to be a lot of reading. We're just going to go through this. You're going to learn a lot of new things from the devs themselves. It's one of those info articles. It's kind of meaty on the verbiage. So hang in there with me. We'll make it through. So for the lore part, the article says, the Temple of the First Cat, located high above and to the southwest of Maryvale Farms and Elsewhere, is a sanctuary dedicated to the dragon god of time. Some say that Alkosh, I said Akatosh, famously, famously shouted and defeated Pelinal Whitestrake here, and for centuries, the monks who resided in the temple peacefully kept vigil in the mountains. However, when the dragons were unleashed upon Elsewhere, everything changed. Cash, you want to take this quote?
Of course, Mike Finnegan, ESO's dungeon lead, says, when the halls of Colossus were opened up, a golden dragon by the name of Navintas came to the temple and proclaimed he was Alkosh himself. The dutiful monks willingly accepted his rule, and so Navintas called in 2 other dragons to lord over all of the monks in Sunspire.
That's right. While many in the temple eagerly accepted Navantas' claim, some saw through his lies and were enslaved for speaking out. You and your team must help Maja and his fellow captives confront the dragons and their followers to free Sunspire from their influence. As you explore the ancient temple and talk to its inhabitants, you'll uncover the site's proud history and learn of its slow deterioration. You will see the site's overgrown and dilapidated ruins for yourself as you climb its summit and battle its defenders. And while the Temple of the First Cat's greatest days have long since passed, visually, it is still one of ESO's most stunning trial locations. Finnegan
God, I
continued.
can't wait to run that.
Oh, right? Like,
Yeah.
Pixie, are you into architecture of ESO at all?
Yes.
Yeah?
I love taking in every little detail of this game, especially the Khajiit architecture I find really interesting. So the Khajiit architecture and the Altmer architecture just fascinate me. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
then,
love that they take influences from other parts of the world.
oh, absolutely. I think we
Yeah.
talked about that a couple episodes ago. Aren't they bringing
We
in,
did.
like, Indian or Hindu, or I forget exactly what we spoke about, but all these real-life things are bringing and pulling into this game. And one thing I love the most about this whole architecture in this chapter is where they and I do think we talked about it in the same episode regarding like what cultures they pulled in, but when they built elsewhere when they built these areas, you can see where the line is, where the old stuff was originally, and then they built the new architecture on top.
Right.
And I love that. Like, I don't remember that ever really seeing that in an MMO before. And so,
It's the attention to detail that the developers put into Elder Scrolls Online, and the other profound thing that I really like is that it shows some of the cultural respect of the Khajiit and how they don't forget their history.
mm-hmm.
You know, in those subtle little ways, where if they're building on top of something that's old and ancient, just to, to procure that stuff to protect that history, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they totally could have just totally destroyed it, but they totally made the decision to build on top of it. Pixie, what do you think?
I love how they say in this article that they just couldn't keep up with all the repairs in this trial area. So
Right.
some of it's fallen into disrepair, but the more occupied areas are more pristine. So I'm really excited to see the juxtaposition of the two areas and the broken areas versus the areas that were well taken care of and well maintained that maybe visitors may see. And I'm really interested in how they handled that. And it, I think, speaks to the lore. It makes me wonder if maybe worship of Alkosh has kind of faltered a bit because there's not as many monks there to kind of keep up with it, and it kind of leads the player to wonder those things. In my opinion, I
Agreed.
really like that a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Damn!
Good.
Check out the lore mind on Pixie.
Woo.
I love it.
Lore times 100. Good gracious.
Yes.
Listen to the Loreseekers for a reason.
Gosh, you did good. You did real good. Finnegan continued, quote, with Sunspire, we wanted to show off the Khajiit architecture, but also convey that this is a place of worship in decline. The monks have been tending to this place for centuries, but gradually over the years, some parts have fallen into disrepair. I love that.
It's definitely not Somerset.
No, it's not. Man, this is like, man, I just now thought of that. Somerset was pristine. Everything flawless, because that's how they are. And then we're going here where it's like a polar opposite. Their stuff's just falling apart. They really embrace the ancient architecture, and so, good call, man. As for dragons, before you face Navantas, you must first contend with both his fellow dragons, Yolnacrin, or as they're calling Yolo, and Lokestis, as they're calling Loki.
Which they're calling Loki.
Yeah, and their most devoted followers. This includes 4 different types of disciples, each dedicated to a particular dragon. These folks wield unique abilities granted to them by their masters. That's pretty cool. In addition to them, you'll also encounter vicious cinch, rot, and fuse with magical power, ready to pounce and knock you off your feet. Cash, you want to read this one?
Oh my god, I want to go do this right now. So Finnegan continues, in Sunspire, we really wanted to highlight what dragons could do in each individual fight. So we focused on different aspects of dragon combat for each encounter. Yolnacrin will stay grounded most of the time, not deeming you worthy of using his wings. Lokestis, or Loki, is more lithe and will often take you to the air, while Navantas will use different combinations of perching, flying, and other magic to hinder you. For this trial, we are trying something new in that all 3 bosses have their own hard mode. Yes, you heard that correctly. Players have long requested this feature, and we are excited to roll it out. Also, to do the hard mode for the final boss, you must complete the hard mode for the first 2 dragons, so there is an extra layer of difficulty. This is harkening back to the old school type of dungeons where you get only like a certain distance before you got to call it a night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what makes this so awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have it any other way. I like the fact that there's things in this game that I may never achieve because it's a difficulty.
Right.
I don't, like, if I was playing an MMO and everything was just handed to me, I mean, like, where's the achievement? Like Pixie, we were running that scale caller the other night, and how many times? We wiped quite a few times. I mean,
I need to go back and count. That was ridiculous.
we need a wipe counter.
When you were like, we need to have a serious talk, guys. I was like, no.
It still hasn't topped. It still has not topped the amount of times that I've died in Vet Maelstrom.
Really?
I don't think I don't think any content in this game will ever top that, except for the next time I go into Vet Maelstrom.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I just, I love the fact that there's things that are difficult, that aren't easy. That's the way it should be. And, really what you're going to get out of the game in the long run is longevity. You're going to get longevity out of a chapter when things are more difficult, because it's taking longer for your players to get through it.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
for the loot, this is the last part of this this article here. The new set. So we kind of talked about this. It was probably 2-3 episodes ago. And they kind of go into listing one of the sets here, and we're looking at the False Gods Devotion set. Now, this is the light set, and there's quite a few people, particularly around YouTube, that are calling this the new meta for the light set. Pixie, you want to take this? You want to read this one?
Sure. Let me find it here because I'm just seeing the title. Oh, there's a link.
There
we
go.
go.
You got it.
For the 2 pieces, it adds 833 spell crit. For 3 pieces, you gain Minor Slayer at all times, increasing your damage done in dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 5. 4 pieces adds 833 spell crit. 5 pieces adds 129 spell damage, and also reduces the cost of your magic abilities by 8%. And when you kill an enemy, you restore 2150 magicka and gain Minor Expedition for 8 seconds, increasing your movement speed by 30%, which sounds amazing for a magicka DPS.
My God.
Yep. For a Khajiit Magicka DPS, that sounds amazing.
Oh, man. This is... Do you guys think this is new meta?
Oh, it's definitely going to be new meta. Yep. There's several sets that are going to be new meta, for sure. That's what happened with Somerset. That's what happened with pretty much all the expansions and extra chapters that have come out. So that's my thought. I cannot stop staring at that dagger.
The dagger. Oh, yeah, with the... What's that? What kind of blade would you even call that?
That, well,
It's
it looks...
machete-like.
Yeah, it looks a little machete-like, but it actually has Master and Secunda embedded into the top of the blade.
It does?
Yeah, those are the 2 moons right there.
No crap. Yeah, it does.
Super Khajiit set.
Pixie, what do you think? New meta?
Yes, and
Yeah?
also the staff with the dangly moons makes me really happy, and I hope this is a new motif
Yeah, with
introduced
dangly
into the
moons.
game.
Oh my gosh, it's there. Wow. Nice pull.
Yeah, it's pretty. This is pretty awesome, and I would imagine this would die very well.
Oh, this looks gorgeous. Okay.
Even as is, it matches the healer motif that I have going on with my Templar. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
need that staff, at least the
Wow.
look of it. But this set alone makes me really want to roll a Magicka DPS. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking either Mag Necro DPS
Ooh,
or
yeah.
Sorc
It's dirty
DPS.
talk right there. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good
Mage
stuff.
Necro, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So trial achievements. Any trial or any great thing, like when we did Scale Caller, we all got a title. That was awesome. For achievements, God Slayer of Sunspire. This is earned by defeating all 3 dragons on hard mode without a single death and inside 30 minutes. Holy crap. This awards
Remember
you...
you were talking about the thing that you probably never get to in ESO? That might be it.
Yeah. Complete this, you get the title God Slayer. That's just... You know what? I don't think I had that kind of time. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to take a lot of practice.
Yeah, that's... Pixie, are you a hardcore raider? I didn't even ask you. Are you...
I've done
in the
like
rating?
2 trials.
Yeah?
I want to do more. That's on my to-do list. It's just that's not something I can queue for. So unless I can get like a whole group of Loreseekers together and like ready to go on our trial nights,
Mhm.
it's really hard for me to just jump into. And I'm also super impatient, so it's hard for me to like wait in zone chat.
Oh, that's funny.
But God Slayer is just such a freaking awesome title that I'm gonna have to
know.
learn some patience,
Yeah.
and I need it. And then not to jump ahead too much, but I need the mount from this so bad, and I want to run it on each of my tunes, so I have to do this. I don't care how long it takes. I have to have it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That mount is pretty thick.
That mount is ridiculous. You can get that mount by completing the Sunspire Conqueror achievement. So, complete the trial on Vet difficulty, and you're going to get the skin, the Sunspire Ice Fire skin, which, when I first started this game, I was still learning things. Actually, you know what? 2 weeks before we started Loreseekers, really, when I came back. And I'm like, oh, we have skins. Okay, cool. And now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm all about skin collecting. I think that's my thing, my jam.
He's building a skin suit for sure.
And I'm building a skin
What
suit.
a weirdo.
Yep, building a Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. Yep.
I have a confession.
Yeah?
I don't have a single skin yet. That's why I want to do the vet dungeons. I need help.
Oh,
Somebody
we
volunteer
gotta
to help
hook
me
you
get some
up.
skins.
We're volunteering right now to help you get
Yes,
skins.
we will hook you up.
Holy moly.
Oh my gosh. None at all?
None. I
Oh.
need some. No, granted, I just transferred to PC and I'm like, I chronically jump platforms. But now that I'm home on PC forever and ever,
Right.
I need some skins. Bad.
What
PC Master Race.
you were on, is that your effect on your new board?
What?
It was effect on your new board. Did you
I snuck that in.
what did you used to play on? What platform?
So I started on Xbox, then like a year and a half in, I switched to PS4 for a year, and then I switched to PC in December.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well,
So all the platforms.
Welcome.
yeah, you really went
Welcome
around
home.
the world, yeah. No kidding. So anyway, complete all the other achievements and earn the Sunspire Champion Cinch mount. Are you a mount collector, Pixie? Are you into mounts at all?
Yes, they're like my favorite thing ever. So
Oh,
I'm gonna get all the Indriks.
All
Even though I have
the-
a little bit of event burnout, I'm going to get them.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh,
that's a lot of work.
that is a lot of work. Props to you. I
I
don't
I
have.
have 2 so far.
Do you really? Wow, I feel behind the times. Cash, how many do you have?
Just the one. I'm ready to get the other one, but I actually ended up spending my feather / ticket things, my tickets,
Mhm.
on OT pages.
Motifs, yep. Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, so there's that. If you want to check that out, all this will be linked over to our episode page at loreseekerspodcast.com. So, next on the docket, we got Elsewhere Burns, Dragons in Elder Scrolls Online. This was a really, really cool article. This coming to us again from ESO Official. While you may have experienced dragons, I love how they reference this right off the bat. While you may have been able to experience dragons in Skyrim, for most people of Tamriel's second era, the existence of dragons remains firmly within the realms of myth and legends in the Elder Scrolls Online. Lemon Tuttle. Did I say lemon? I meant layman.
Great. Now we
Layman.
hate the solid work.
So many lemon turtle memes I've
Oh.
seen.
Yeah, turtle power. I've seen a lot of that.
I think it's Lehman.
Lehman Tuttle. I'm sorry, Lehman. Yes, those Lord Master said, quote, dragons are incredibly rare in the second era. While evidence of their reign remains, particularly in Skyrim, most believe they are extinct, and the threat they pose to Tamriel has largely faded from memory. People still spin yarns about the dragons, but they're mostly just tall tales and legends. Dragons in the Elder Scrolls aren't just winged lizards. They're highly intelligent creatures with a language and a culture that many believe stretches back to the dawn of time. Their unique feature is probably their association with words and time. I love this part right here. For dragons, language and power are intimately linked. They don't just breathe fire, they speak fire, willing it into existence. That kind of magical agency is really, really cool, end quote. Whew.
Yeah. So I want to travel to strange and distant lands and experience highly intelligent creatures with language and culture that many people believe stretches back to the dawn of time, and I want to kill them. Just saying.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I can't wait. Like, I just, ugh. It's gonna be so good. Okay. Building dragons. So this is where they kind of get into the nitty-gritty about making dragons in ESO. For the team charged with building these giant new monsters, dragons represented an unusual challenge, not least because they already played such a massive part in the Elder Scrolls series. Sean Wicks, the design lead in charge of the game's monsters, said, quote, the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim set a really high bar when it came to dragons. You know what, Cash, Rich kind of talked about this a little bit too. So they reached out to Bethesda Game Studios and received some great insight into the tech behind dragons in Skyrim and what kinds of animations they needed to make them work. Dragons need to look intelligent and exude power in everything they do and say. We've crafted more custom stuff for them than any creature we've made before, building the models out of parts so we can mix and match different wings, horns, heads, and colors. Pixie, what do you think of this?
So my day job is a software developer, so I really feel for the devs who had to work on this because it sounds like kind of a nightmare, but I'm so glad they took the time to actually get this to work because that means we're going to have a completely unique experience with each dragon we come into, whereas in Skyrim, you face like the same dragon 30 times. But in this game, it sounds like they're each going to be tailor-made. They're going to look a little bit different. It's going to add that depth and make you feel like you're really in this living world.
Yeah.
And that immersion is really the key to ESO for me. So I'm super pumped to see this.
Wow. Yeah.
On live. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
glad they
think-
took the time to do it the way they did.
I think the other thing too that we're not, we haven't really seen yet, because I don't know that any of us have really played on PTS. I certainly haven't. But
I
the
did.
fact that, ooh, you snuck
Oh,
in.
she did?
Just for a little bit. I gave myself like 2 days on PTS because I didn't do any quests because I wanted that to be a complete surprise.
Right.
But I needed to figure out how to play a Necro and if that was something I was even going to be interested in
Mhm.
because I didn't know how it was going to play.
Right.
And so I took it up against a dragon just to see what that was going to be like, and that was kind of
Did you
really
love it?
fun. I loved it so much, and you
Ah,
guys are going to
Oh, my
freak
heart.
out.
Thank God. So my original point is that the dragons, from what we're hearing, don't go down like normal world bosses do.
No.
They're much more difficult, and they require many more players than, say, soloing a world boss.
So, in Somerset, I could go up against Queen of the Reef with 2 people and be fine. It would take a while, but it'd be fine. I tried with 4 people against a dragon, and it really ended badly. So that's 4. So like
Whoa.
4 on any world boss would be just perfectly peachy and no issue. 4 against a dragon was a bloodbath, and I had to leave.
Wow.
I couldn't wait. It was intense. I don't know. Maybe a top tier player could solo these things, but it was a whole new type of challenge with all these new mechanics that I just was not seeing. It was gosh, and they say they attack with everything, and they mean it, and it was amazing. And I'm so excited to see it in live that I might start hyperventilating in a minute.
Take it easy, Bubbles.
Oh. Wow, man. Cash, that all sounds really good.
Oh my god, I had to like pry myself away from the PTS because like none of this is gonna count towards live. I can't do this to myself anymore. I'm just teasing myself, and I had to bring myself out of it. So I only played on PTS for like 2 days, and then I was like, okay, everything else needs to be a surprise. But I had to see the layout of the zone and see how it compared to Somerset because Somerset was my previous favorite zone.
Right.
And then I needed to see a dragon because dragons are like my favorite thing ever. Dragons and werewolves are my thing. So.
I freaking love werewolves. Oh, well, I love wolves, but that's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Oh crap. By the way, we're as of this recording, we're 5 days out. I don't know if y'all realize that or not. 5 days.
Counting
Almost
the days.
there.
Counting
So
the days to
close.
the long login screens.
Oh, it's gonna be worth it. All right. So anyway, talking about this content, I love the fact that they can basically make puzzle pieces out of these dragons and make them look different. There's a whole lot of things that they can do going forward, especially this being the season of the dragon. So I guarantee you will probably see more dragons, brand new dragons throughout the year, through the rest of 2019. And then they even talk about this here. There's a quick note. When you encounter a dragon during your adventures, you will face a beast that is tailor-made for that type of engagement. So depending on the content you're doing, you're going to be facing a different kind of dragon. And that could be the abilities, could be the way they looked. It's going to be good. I can't wait. So the article goes on to say, like the griffins of ESO Somerset, dragons needed to fly and fight from both the land and the air. But unlike the monsters found in some of the high elves, the team wanted to do more for the legendary scaled beasts. To make them truly masters of the sky, the team gave them individual pathing options when flying. And by the way, this is not shared with any other flying creatures in the game, so it's completely unique. In addition to a large amount of custom animations. Cash?
Sean Wicks continues, dragons move fast, but they're also huge, so it needs to look like it takes effort on their part. They need to speed up before they get going and slow down before they stop. And when they change direction, it has to feel like all that momentum went somewhere, as they can't turn on a dime like smaller creatures. Finally, when they land, they have to knock you off your feet. And when they take off, they have to send you flying.
Oh, gosh. This is awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
It makes sense.
yeah.
They're big, giant, heavy beasts, and the amount of power that they generate, either coming in for a landing or taking off, is probably a lot like a modern day airplane. So if you're standing behind a jet engine, you're going to get knocked on your keister.
Man, this is... We're almost done waiting. Oh,
know.
this episode I feel like it's going to be a whole lot of, oh, good, we're almost there.
So close.
Yep. Oh my gosh. All right. So, in Elsewhere, dragons can assault you with their claws, teeth, wings, tail, and of course their breath attacks. The team made
Ugh.
sure right. It's bad breath. The team made sure
Exactly.
everything the monster can do looks and feels amazing, while also being a ton of fun to fight, whether they be in the air or in the ground. Sean Wicks continued, quote, "We built attacks that hit broad swaths of the play space that the dragon could use without turning. And we designed its attacks to both anticipate the things you're trying to do and punish you for it." Oh my gosh. Dragons are deadly on the ground, sure, but they're designed for flight. There's nothing quite as majestic as a god beast dropping out of the sky to scorch the land. So we tried to keep them airborne as much as we can. End quote, and that's the end of that article. Whoa, man.
Yeah, that pretty much means that these things are very difficult to fight, and they've upped the scale of the combat in this game once again. And I guarantee you that Finn had something to do with it.
You know-
Hashtag FU Finn.
You know, when we ran Scale Caller the other night, I never really felt why people, FU Finn. Yes, there's hard dungeons, but until you experience Vet Scale Caller,
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
shouted FU Finn so many times in my life by the end
Yeah,
of that. I mean,
the hard mode.
oh,
The hard mode's insane, and I guarantee you that the content that we get with Elsewhere is going to be very similar to where if you choose hard mode for a boss or last boss, depending on whether you're doing a dungeon or a trial, typically that last boss on hard mode, Vet hard mode, has little bits and pieces of every single boss fight that you've done thus far through that dungeon. And that's exactly like if you take, for instance, if you've gone through Cloud Rest and then tried Cloud Rest plus 1, 2, or 3, then you kind of get what they're doing. Like you're skipping the beginning bosses and they all show up at the end, so you're having to deal with them all. Well, on a similar scale, a Vet hard mode will normally take some of those mechanics and throw them at you, so you're having to deal with all of them, and that is exactly what hard mode Vet Scale Caller did
my
to us.
gosh. Yeah.
It did it to us over and over and over.
Yeah.
again.
Repeatedly beat my pride in the ground.
Yeah, it was pretty much like video game rape. That's what happened
It was awful.
that night.
It was awful. But anyway, we want to know what you all think. We want to know what you think about the dragons. See, next week is Cash and I will be on the show talking about our impressions of Elsewhere. It will be spoiler free, but we want to know what you think. What do you think about the dragons? You know, next week, you've had a whole week. By the time you listen to this on Friday, you'll have a week between the next show. Tell us about the dragons. What do you think of them? You can call us. We're going to be fielding questions. We're going to be Mr. Mailbag himself. He's going to show up next episode. So you can call us 765-382-6961. Put that number in your phone. Do whatever you got to do. Call us. Leave a voicemail. Talk to us about your dragon experience and Elsewhere. Also, you can email us. Loreseekers@gmail.com. Cash, I'm ready for some Dungeon Lore, man.
So am I, and I'm excited to continue the series because we're getting good feedback on it.
Mhm.
And our Dungeon Lore series, basically, if you didn't know or don't know what it is, they're bringing you the lore from the dungeons that you normally haul at through,
Mm-hmm.
just to get your daily done. So tonight we're on dungeon lore number 3, and we're talking Spindle Clutch.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll start with the loading screen text. Remember, I talked about this is normally the time that you're going pee,
Mm-hmm.
or waiting for it to load, or you're grabbing yourself an adult beverage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do the work for you. The Ayleid ruins of Dwinnerith that grin down from the bluffs above Hagfen were plundered and emptied out generations ago. But it seems there are forgotten mine tunnels beneath the lowest levels of Dwinnerith that might not be quite so empty. So Spindle Clutch 1, Spindle Clutch 2 also, but we're talking Spindle Clutch 1 tonight. Spindle Clutch is found in the province of High Rock. High Rock is located in the northwest section of Tamriel and is mostly inhabited by Bretons. And the northern tip of High Rock also contains Orsinium, or the city-state of the Orcs. The region this is in Glenumbra. And this region covers the entire peninsula that separates the Iliac Bay from the Eltharic Ocean. The peninsula's geography is a mix of rugged woodland and fetid swamps. Those are Jib's favorites.
Yeah.
So the main quest in here is called Deadly Whispers. And the way the story goes is at the beginning of the dungeon, you will encounter members of the Fighters Guild who were trying to clear out what they thought was a simple spider infestation. Sounds like a normal quest. Kill 20 spiders, you get a prize. Well, most of the group managed to make it out, with the exception of their commander, Guardian Sud Harine. And the quest giver, Praxton Doir, asks you to push into the caves and clear out the spiders, while he and his group of mercenaries use fire to destroy the remaining spider eggs. An additional part is to find the leader, Guardian Sud Harine, and rescue him. Doir warns you about the incessant whispers coming from deep within the cave that have driven some of his men mad. And if you've been through there, you'll remember this. On your feet, you louts. We're going back in. Right as you pass them up and do all the friggin' work.
Yeah, and they stay in the back and just watch.
Exactly.
Typical government workers.
Hey, yeah, they're overworked, and it's their union break. So
It's their union break.
So, if you're a veteran player, if you've been playing the game for a while, this Spindle Clutch is really a pretty good one to test out your own metal and go in there and try and solo it. It's not very hard to do, but it's really fun. You can probably get through this with a decent group in less than 10 minutes. You can blast through all this stuff. If you're a newer player, it does provide some challenges for you, but it's really a fun one. And Praxton Doir is not kidding when he talks about the voices, because they're gnarly.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking creepy. There was one game that there was a dungeon for, and it was Rift. Remember that game, Rift? Still around.
Yeah. Yeah, I never played it.
Anyway, there was a part in one of those dungeons in that game that would freak me out. And it was this dude that would literally say, Ilium. And you'd just hear him saying this name over and over. And it would freak me the hell out. As you're in the dungeon kind of doing your thing with your buddies. Super creepy. Anyway, this is very similar to that. So the types of enemies you're going to run into are corrupted infantry. They've been poisoned. Spiders, of course. There's some mini bosses. There's Spindlekin, which is a giant spider. There's Cerise, the Widowmaker, which is a Breton rogue and reminds me of the song from Ghost. And there is the Big Rabu, which really should be called the Big Wussy. He's a corrupted knight in heavy armor that drops like a freaking sack of potatoes. So there's him. The boss is in the one that is not the one that's talking to you. We'll get to her in a second. But the Swarm Mother, she's a spider queen responsible for the spider infestation. And then there's the Whisperer. She's a spider Daedra. She's the one that's on the loading screen. She's a spider Daedra responsible for driving the Fighters Guild members insane. So there are some decent sets, some decent starter sets in there, and Jib's going to cover them.
Yeah. So, okay, first off, we've got Prayer Shawl. This is the light armor set. If you're starting out, you're a Magicka player, you could pick this up. This would be a good set to get you going. 2 items, 1096 max magicka, 3 items, 129 spell damage, 4 items, another 129 magicka recovery, and 5 items. When you heal a friendly target, you have a 6% chance to grant them a damage shield that absorbs up to 24-25 damage for 6 seconds. Cash, you are officially out of whiskey, it looks like. For
Yep,
medium
shown chat.
for medium armor, we got the Spelunker set. 2 items. This adds 1,096. I bet I said 1,000. 1,096 max stam, 3 items, 129 stam recovery, 4 items, another 129 weapon damage, and 5 items. It adds up to 400 weapon and spell damage to your Undaunted abilities.
Because everybody uses those.
When an ally uses one of your Undaunted ability synergies, you restore up to 1,500 stamina. For the heavy armor set, we've got Nightmare and 2 items. You get 2975 physical resistance, 3 items, 1206 max health, 4 items, 129 weapon damage, 5 items. When you deal melee damage, you have a 20% chance to apply Minor Maim to all enemies within 8 meters of you for 5 seconds, reducing their damage done by 15%. Not a bad starter PvP set.
No, it's not a bad starter set. The Spelunker set that's poop. Yeah.
I feel like
mean,
I
the
saw
only
people
reason I
using
say-
that to farm one time or another, but
Yeah, I mean the only reason that somebody would really use something that boosts your Undaunted abilities is if they were using. That's really not used those skills really aren't used very much anymore. So that set's it's kind of poop. The Magicka set's not terrible for a healer and for decent starter set for a tank. The Nightmare set's not bad just because of that Minor Maim. I mean, it's a pretty decent chance to apply Minor Maim. Probably not so you can keep it up all the time, but you can keep it up long enough for your buddies to deal 15% more damage.
right.
So.
For the Monster Helm, by the way, Monster Helms come from vet only. Last boss, they're going to drop the helm, whether it's light, medium, arm, or heavy. It's random. So for the first ability here, 1 piece, 129 stam recovery, 2 pieces. When you block an attack from an enemy that is further than 5 meters from you, you spin strands of spider silk to pull the enemy to you. This effect can occur once every 1 second.
It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yep.
For achievements, we got quite a few achievements here. Spindle Clutch Vanquisher. You defeat the Swarm Mother and the Whisper in Spindle Clutch 1. Spindle Clutch. This is pretty much. I'm talking to the completionist. That's who I'm talking to right now. Spindle Clutch 1 Conqueror. Defeat Spindlekin, Swarm Mother. Defeat all the bosses on Vet Spindle Clutch. Quiet at Last. You defeat the Whisper in Vet Spindle Clutch 1 after invoking the Scroll of Glorious Battle. Hard mode.
That's the headache scroll.
Yep. That's when everything goes white.
Yep.
Vet Corrupted Slayer. Defeat 350 Corrupted in Vet Spindle Clutch 1. Vet Spider Slayer. Defeat 600 spiders in Veteran Spindle Clutch. Spindle Clutch 1 Survivor. That's a no-death run. So go through the whole dungeon without dying. And then you got Spindle Clutch Assassin, which is a speed run. Get through the whole thing within 20 minutes. Timer starts when you pull. Whew.
Yeah. So if you've been playing the game for a while, you've either already done this or you do 2 runs. Do a normal run and then do a vet run, and you'll get all these.
Yep.
It's not hard.
Nope.
Yeah. It's not a super challenging dungeon, and it's very, very doable. Now, as we get going with more dungeon lore series, we're going to start covering some of the harder ones and the ones that want to make you rip your eyelashes out.
Making our way downtown.
Eventually we'll
fast.
get the scale collar.
We'll get there.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, we forgot to do the bumper earlier, so Pixie, you're getting the Dungeon Lore bumper. You ready for your interview?
I'm ready.
It's your time to shine. All right, here we go. Okay, Pixie. Now, I remember when you joined the community. It was some time ago, actually. You're like almost OG status at this point.
Yeah, I've hung around for a bit.
Yeah, you have. So, first off, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate you coming
Thank you
on.
for having me.
Our pleasure. When did you first start playing Elder Scrolls Online? Like, what got your attention to this game?
So I heard about it whenever it was first announced. I was initially turned off by the required sub that they had first talked about. But I was a console player, so I didn't have to worry about it until a year after the initial launch. So about a week after the console launch is whenever I jumped into the game on Xbox One. And then I switched to PS4 and then to PC, which is where I am now.
Wow. What's been your favorite class? I mean, have you played them all? Is there one that you particularly gravitate towards?
I have played them all, and my favorite and my main right now is my Healy Templar, and I just love it so much, and that has been my main on all 3 platforms so far. I'm wondering if Necromancer will rival that, so I'm leaving that slot kind of open, but as of today, it's Templar.
What about the Templar? Is it just the idea of what they are in general, or do you just like the way they feel?
Light magic and restoration has always fascinated me. Second only to the nature magic of the Warden, but just the way they play and the way I've found to play my Healy Templar has really made me gravitate towards that class. Like Breath of Life is amazing.
Breath of life.
Yes.
Pretty much the only heal. Everything else is destruction staff, right? And just the breath of life.
Yes.
If you don't Breath of Life, you don't heal.
Yes. Breath of Life has saved me and everyone else so many times, so that has to be my favorite one so far.
Yeah, it's a fat heal for sure. Have you tried healing on the ward?
I did do a Warden healer back on Xbox and I really loved it. It was a conal and AoE based heal, and back then I wasn't as strategic with my heals as I am now because I've learned a whole lot since Xbox. So I do want to make a Warden healer again at some point just because I do love the idea of that class. I really, really, really wish Warden Magicka DPS was an easier rotation to learn because that's what I really want to do. That's my dream.
Know it. Yeah. So what race do you prefer on a Warden?
On my Warden, I actually ran an Argonian back then. On my Templar, I always do an Altmer. I know they kind of got nerfed a wee bit by Brett and their nice buff to regen, but I just can't race change because I love my Altmer so much.
Yeah, it was a little difficult for me to do the same thing. I also have a Healy Templar and he stayed an Altmer because the face of the Breton is just weird.
It kind of weirds me out.
Strange. Yeah, it's a little strange. So I wanted him to look like normal, so I kept him Altmer.
So what he's saying is, if you're a Breton, you don't look normal.
No, but he's a beast healer. I mean, that is an Altmer restoration magic. What am I trying to say? Templar is beast.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So.
Big heals. Big heals on that one, and I love it.
Yep.
Now I will say my first build that I'm gonna make after Elsewhere is gonna be a Breton healer Necromancer.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna spend some time in character creation to make it not look like a rat face. But
I was not wrong.
It's their eyes. There's something about their eyes that are just weird. I have to figure it out.
Must do something to
They're
the eyes.
super beady.
I'll figure it out. I promise.
Awesome.
I don't. I find whenever I make a Breton, do you guys notice the ears? You can make them pointy because they are, you know, like half elf.
They're halflings, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, because I agree, I really don't care for the way the Bretons look. It's almost like they're an ugly mix of like they've put some of the ESO races in a blender, and it just didn't look that great.
They did. They put 2 in a blender.
I'm not a fan.
And that's what
it's
they
like
turned
that
out.
really ugly mutt that's just like the best dog ever. I love it so much, but it's just so ugly, and you just have to. It's so ugly, it's cute kind of thing, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with my Necromancer.
Special kind of cute. Yep.
Yeah, it's like an ugly little mutt with kick-ass regeneration.
Yep. There you go. So, what is it about ESO that resonates with you the most? Like, what keeps you coming back? You said you've been here for a year and a half in ESO. What is it that drives you to keep coming back to this game?
So I actually have a story around this one. So when I first started ESO, my son, this feels crazy to actually say it, but my 4-year-old was 10 months old whenever I first started. I was dealing with a crap ton of postpartum depression and anxiety, and I nearly died bringing my child into this world, and I was dealing with massive panic attacks surrounding that whole ordeal, just awful, vivid nightmares. And I remember my first guild that I ever joined, the Anzaleel over on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
That community and the community on ESO as a whole, they listened to me cry, have panic attacks while I was trying to play mid dungeon. They'd be the ones to talk me down whenever, like, my boyfriend was working 50 hours a week. I was a stay-at-home mom, didn't really have anybody there to talk to. And that sense of community and just pure friendship that I got is really what always dragged me back into this game. So I would take like a couple months break, really before 1 Tamriel. Since 1 Tamriel, I've been really regular, but the fact that those people were always there for me, and this community still, like, the Loreseekers Guild has been amazing. You guys have been fantastic, and that amazing sense of community is why I just can't leave this game alone.
Wow.
It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah, man, that got real. I
Sorry.
love that, though.
No. Yeah.
That, I'm not kidding you. When Jibs and I will periodically hear stories like that about how this game has made a profound difference in somebody's life.
Oh yeah.
And normally it's not just the game, it's the beauty of the game that brings you to the community. And the community, for some reason in this game, 75% of our community, that means 25% is douchebags, but 75% of this community is really freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And that is quite a tale to be told, that, you know, you can be brought out of a bout of, you know, depression and postpartum, because postpartum depression, anxiety, they are very real.
Oh yeah.
Very real things to so many people. And to be brought out of that because of a community and because of, you know, a few interactions with people that you don't even know, they could be across the world, and these people are helping you, you know, come out of something like that. That's a pretty incredibly powerful statement to say about gaming itself, and poo-poo on anybody that touts gaming as it rots your brain, it's terrible for you, you get stuck in front of a computer. They just don't freaking get it.
Yeah.
That is what they need to get.
It was really an amazing experience. So one of the guys that I actually met through that guild was an army vet who had PTSD, and he just, what I was saying resonated with him, and he just had the perfect things to say to me whenever I was having those just huge issues, whenever I was having those like super realistic nightmares. And just having that community there to back me up was exactly what I needed at that time. And I can honestly say ESO totally changed my life, and the community changed my life in that way, because it made me feel like I belonged to something, like I was a person, I mattered, and it really, really helped pull me through a really hard time in my life.
I agree wholeheartedly, you know, with everything that you said and Cash has said. You know, gaming can be such a good outlet. It can be a refuge when you need it. It can be an anchor when you need it. You know, it can be a strength for you. It can be a relief. It can be so many different things. And then you slap a good community. You know, in your case, it was that guild that was so influential into your life at that time. You know, they were everything that you needed right when you needed it. And because of that, you found a game that, you know, you've stuck with for so long, which is, you know, I feel like nowadays is very rare. You know, you don't, there's so much coming out nowadays, and you know, with social media, everything, you know, you're hearing about things constantly. It's constant information. And so for you to stick around in a game this long and to have that story to be able to tell, that's pretty powerful. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Fortunately, we probably broke it all down in that one night of vet hard mode skill caller. I'm really sorry about that, Pixie.
Oh no! So even though I was yelling and saying all kinds of bad words, I had so much fun that night. I know it didn't come off that way because I was doing so much yelling and so much frustration, but that was peak fun for me.
Same with us.
That was a blast.
We had a freaking blast.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we know you like to stream. You have your own channel. What is your channel? What's your channel's name? And how long or where can our listeners find your channel at?
So I'm at twitch.tv/hyperpixie gaming. I've been streaming for about 9 months now, and I actually got started on YouTube. My YouTube stuff really sucks. So I am Hyperpixie on YouTube. I'm gonna come right out and say it. So
I'm selling right
I
now.
grew up watching. Oh gosh, no. So I grew up listening to like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and all of them, and I
Mhm.
really loved the Let's Plays. So I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, even if nobody listens, I'll be able to go back and experience these games for the first time again, which is something that I wish I would have done with so many games. But then I made my first YouTube series,
Mhm.
and it was the Spider-Man game for PS4,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh my god, this is so much editing. I don't have time for this. I have a child. I have a full-time job, and I'm trying to do 3 video releases a week, and this just isn't going to work. And at the same time, I started my Twitch channel, and I was like, thank God I can play some ESO because I know this game, and I can feel competent in this game. So I started streaming, and after my Spider-Man series was finished on YouTube, I was like, you know what? I'm not even getting that much enjoyment out of YouTube. I like the instant gratification of Twitch because I can see people right there in chat talking to me, and that makes my job as a content creator a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I just decided to say, you know what? I'll come back to YouTube at some point, maybe release some guide videos for ESO or whatever game I'm playing at the time, and just focus wholly on Twitch. And I'm so glad I did it. And I've met so many awesome people through Twitch.
Mhm.
And it's just been a fantastic experience.
Sorry.
Yeah, Twitch is an amazing organization, like
It
through and
really
through.
is.
Oh yeah.
Jibs and I were lucky enough to be able to go out there for the Elsewhere announce, and it was actually
my gosh.
at Twitch. And I'm not kidding you, like one of the most impressive group of dynamic young people
Yeah.
that I've ever been around is at Twitch. It's just an amazing organization, and to see the growth over the last 10 to 15 years of Twitch, and where they've come from and where they've landed is really cool.
Yeah. I'm
I
not gonna
really
lie.
like
That.
the structure of Twitch.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot.
For sure. For sure. I like it a lot too. You know, one thing about actually my thing I liked the most about Twitch was that cafeteria. Holy crap.
Oh my God.
That was
Yeah.
beer on tap at a cafeteria?
Yeah,
Oh.
like anybody who has any specialization in what they eat or what they drink, for one, and second of all, beer on tap. They had kombucha on tap. Incredible. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I want to quit my job. I want to quit my career and just come work in this kitchen.
Oh, it was so good.
I have to say, as a software dev, if they had beer on tap at my job, I would make some interesting things.
Make some interesting choices.
It would be
I.
creative. It'd be creative. There'd be some interesting bugs. But
That's
I wonder if we could put a kegger and a kegerator in at the fire station. What do you think they'd say about that?
I need to have one right next to me when we record. You just give me a drink. That's the way it needs to go.
I have one too. She's a 15-year-old.
Oh, there you go. All right, Pixie. Well, all right. So one more time, twitch.tv/
Hyperpixie Gaming.
Okay, and the YouTube channel you want no one to see. What is it?
Hyperpixie.
There we
So
go.
it's-
All right.
I think it's like youtube.com/NaviTheFairy19 or something. That was,
Navi the
like-
Fairy 19. I'm going to subscribe and watch those videos. All right. Thanks so much. Cash, you ready for some lore?
I am.
All right. I'm gonna stand back. Don't singe my nuts this time. You do your thing.
I'll pull my hair back.
That's a wise decision. Cash, here we go. I'm just gonna All right, here we go. Oh, what's he do? Are you okay?
Stretching for it.
We're all good. No, there was a werewolf outside that I want to go murder.
Oh. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I had to
bring your silver bullets.
I had to draw the blinds, otherwise the werewolf is going to ruin my path to Lidge'dom.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
I know, buddy. So this is for you. I was looking through once again. I was looking through the Tales of Tamriel. I'm going to pick it up right here, show our live listeners. Tales of Tamriel, Book 2, The Lore. Absolutely incredible, amazing book. If you don't have it and you have the means, buy Book 1, The Land, buy Book 2, The Lore. They are really, really cool. And I was just kind of looking through to get some ideas for a lore lesson this week. And I came across a metric crap ton of stuff on necromancy that is really difficult to find online, but it was right there in my book. So shame on me for not having being on YouTube right before I go to bed instead of reading like I probably should be doing. But anyway, tonight, The Path to Lidge'dom, lore lesson number 56.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Wahaha.
My heart.
Wahaha. So mages who have mastered the art of necromancy and dark magic have the ability to prolong their lifespan and become powerful, immortal beings known as liches. And yes, you have run into them in pretty much every Elder Scrolls game that there is. And I'm going to start the lore lesson with a reading from Dark Magic, the 3 pretexts from the Aureate Serpent. It is unfortunate that the arcane discipline known as dark magic has acquired such a pejorative name in the common parlance, and it tends to relegate the practitioners into that class of sorcerer slanderously known as evil wizards. To counteract such dangerous libels, it is handy to keep in mind the following 3 pretexts. The first, insofar as it negates, drains, and preys upon the magicka and power of other mages, knowledge of dark magic is a necessary safeguard that enables the reining in of rogue sorcerers. The second pretext, insomuch as it replicates some of the deleterious effects of spells cast by inimical Daedra, knowledge of dark magic is a useful tool for learning how to counter said effects. And the third pretext, whereas its application is regarded by the ignorant as frightful and loathsome, the use of dark magic to inflict condign punishment upon transgressors is a deterrent to crime and therefore a social good. That should silence the critics. I thought that was kind of funny because here is a necromancer, the Aureate Serpent, who is saying that necromancy and the practice of dark magic is a social good. So
It's all from a point of view,
lolled.
just like Star Wars.
Yes. So it does bring up some things about the process and the fact that although it may be evil, you should respect it. In the process of Lidge'dom, the creation of a lich has been known to be obtained in several ways. Many of these vary widely in comparison to other, but have been successful nonetheless. During the Oblivion Crisis, a mage by the name of Celadane attempts to surpass death by using an hourglass called the Sands of Resolve. This magical artifact was to remain on his body until his transformation to Lidge'dom was completed. On the contrary, in Skyrim, the Dragon Priests were known to ascend into Lidge'dom by draining a person's life force. Oh, it gets way worse, dude.
Oh man, it's so good.
Dragon Priests would drain a person's life force and transfer it back into their own bodies. Apparently, the life force of another manifested in different forms. In one example, the Dragon Priest Hevnerak replenished his own life force by transferring human blood back into his body.
So like a really violent vampire.
For sure.
Oh.
And I don't know if it was like, across his veins or if it was via vampiric means, but nonetheless, a very violent blood transfusion back into his body.
Wow.
Yeah. In practicing Lidge'dom in the Second Era, a mage must be a master of both necromancy and the dark arts. And there's going to be more on that here coming up when it comes to Lidge'dom. So we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to do a little reading from the Practical Necromancy. This is chapter 22, I assume. Summoning, binding, and questioning the spirits of Aetherius. So this gets pretty deep. Aetherius, as you remember, was the immortal plane, the realm of which daedras such as the Nine Divines originate. Aetherius is the source of all magic and the creation of all in Mundus. And it reads, previously we've discussed the reanimation of crude matter for labor. It is time to delve into deeper, more rewarding subjects. Aside from the traditional ritual components, you will need 1. The hide of a slaughtered animal, cleaned and dried in the approved manner. 2. A measure of dried nightshade crushed with a pestle of pure ebony. And 3. An animus geode containing the tortured spirit of man or mer. Soul gem, Jibs.
Yep.
That is a soul gem.
Yep.
I thought you'd like that.
I love it.
So in order to do so, you must prepare a circular ritual space no less than 3 paces across. Isolate the space with a circle of 1 chalk, 1 part salt, 1 part ash. In the center of the space, prepare your ritual tools. Jam a pike or spear into the earth, point up. Write the name of the spirit you wish to summon on the piece of animal hide. Be sure you have no injuries that might spill blood in the circle. That would be a freaking problem.
Yeah.
Trapping one's own soul in a summoning circle is rarely fatal. And it tells you to see chapter 25 for exceptions. But it is sure to provoke a mockery of your peers. So after desecrating the circle, light the candles in the following order: east, west, north, south. Burn a pinch of nightshade in the ritual bowl. Impale the animal hide onto the pike. Finally, take up the animus geode and release its power while holding in your mind an image of the deceased. Once summoned, the spirit is tethered to the animus geode. The geode will act as a beacon, allowing you to call the bound shade to your side whenever you wish. That's necromancy,
I love it.
essentially. Okay, so to start the process of becoming a lich, the aspiring lich must steal the souls from their owners in the most painful way possible.
Oh. Oh man.
Yes, as the increased pain and torment from their sacrifices powers the purest forms of Lidge'dom. As an additional part of the process, a relic of some evil significance or a powerful good relic that can be corrupted must be utilized to focus a spell to extract the souls from the living. The more powerful the relic, the better result when the soul is rended. That is some evil shit.
Right? Oh,
Why do they have
man.
to be so mean?
Oh, the more mean,
I
the meaner
mean-
they are, the more power they get. Oh.
Now, a
Ouch.
necromancer and the things that a necromancer reanimates is evil. But a lich is not only a practicer of an expert in necromancy, but an expert in black magic.
Man.
And we're going to kind of cover all that right now. That's why
Gosh.
it's so damn evil. So the effects of Lidge'dom. Where most necromancers spend vast amounts of time learning to raise the dead, one who has ascended to Lidge'dom is an expert at the practice. For this reason, liches can utilize several different schools of magic in conjunction with the raising of the dead. So one who has achieved Lidge'dom can readily interchange spells from the various schools of magic: illusion, destruction, alteration, conjuration, restoration, mysticism, thaumaturgy, and enchanting, to match the situation they're in, all while raising the dead to fight at their side. The lich is truly a master of magic. Unlike the necromancer in general, one who has achieved Lidge'dom takes on the appearance of the undead. So they have decaying flesh, exposed bones, skull-like facial features, sunken eyes or no freaking eyeballs, or similar features. Most liches wear ornate robes or armor, jewelry, amulets, and typically they carry a staff to aid them with spells in combat. So they're usually magicka-based. Fun fact: a rare form of the lich is called a nether lich. which takes a transparent ghost-like form and are known to be weaker than regular liches. It's kind of like a ghost lich. In combat, liches tend to prefer a ranged style for obvious reasons. A favored form of their magic is destruction magic, where they use flames or electricity to attack, while utilizing summon dead skeletons or corpses to divert their enemy's attention while they strike from afar. Ranged combat. That's the way. I love that. Okay, so Ascendancy, the pathway to Lichdom. This is a short guide
Oh yeah,
detailing the steps required to becoming a lich.
good one.
This is by Golvig the Ascendant. I take it you've read this, Jibs?
Oh yeah, that's good.
This is
Don't
good.
try this at home.
Don't
Or maybe
try
do.
this at
If
home.
that's
Know
your
what I'm
thing.
doing after we record.
Okay. It reads, "At last, I have discovered the secrets to casting off the shackles of mortality. I record them here for those who dare to follow in my footsteps. Pledge yourselves to me, swear everlasting allegiance, and you too can ascend to this lofty plane. The first element is the will to force your body into death and beyond. Without this ultimate power mind over body, the transformation cannot begin. Few have the courage for even this initial step. Many falter and are lost when pain and horror overcome what little willpower they had. Given the strongest of wills, great necromantic knowledge is next required. Willpower provides the force, but knowledge focuses the will and directs the glorious transformation. Only the most intelligent and daring of necromancers delve deeply enough into forbidden knowledge, gathering the spellcraft needed to achieve blessed lichdom. I am one of those. A plentiful source of souls is needed as well. These must be wrenched from their owners as painfully as possible. The higher degree of torment among your sacrifices, the purer the ascent to lichhood, the greater the power gathered in undeath. You ascend on a glorious stairway of screams and horror." God, that's terrible.
Oh,
Oh my God, I have to go take a bath in holy water.
Oh.
Lastly, a mighty magical relic is needed. An evil-aligned relic will suffice, but a good-aligned artifact that can be perverted to this purpose is ideal. This relic is the casting focus for Urello's loathsome coercion, the spell employed to wrench the required souls from their erstwhile owners. The more powerful the relic, the more painful the soul rending. Will, knowledge, soul, and power. These are the required elements of this most exalted of transformation.
Whew.
Attempt it, if you dare.
Oh,
End scene.
NC. And lunch break. Oh my
That's
gosh.
the lore lesson. Yeah, buddy. That was for you.
Thank
That was
you.
from me to you.
That was a perfect gift right before Elsewhere dropped. Oh my gosh, man. I can't believe we're almost there.
I know. Yep. Less than a week, bud.
Less than a week, man. Less than a week. You did real good. You did real good.
Thanks, buddy. It was
Oh.
whiskey fueled.
Well, you nailed it. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. Wow. We're almost there, listeners. We're almost there. It's May 15th as we're recording this. May 20th, Elsewhere is coming out. Next week is going to be a very special episode. Be sure to tune in. And then the following week, we got even more stuff planned. It's going to be a great time to be a fan of Loreseekers. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, be sure to head on over to iTunes or wherever you listen to us at and leave us a written 5-star review. For every 5-star review that we get on iTunes, we give you some love out on the show. And we got one here. This one is by Narful Funk from USA. It says, very entertaining, relatable guys, great info. I can't play ESO as much as I want to because of life, but these guys make it bearable in between sessions. Thanks so much. That's awesome.
Thanks, Gnarl.
You can call us at 765-382-6961 or email us, loreseekerspodcast@gmail.com, 365. Now you just go to the contact page on the new website. And it'll be right there for you. It sends it right to our email box. You can join the official Loreseekers Guild, loreseekerspodcast.com/guild. All you got to do, you can read about the guild there, the COC or guild rules, all that. If you like what you see, you download Discord.
Douchebag filter.
Join the Discord server. Apply to the guild using what Cash calls the douchebag filter. And if you make it through, well, you'll be a part of the family and meet fellow seekers from literally all over the globe. We are global. We got guilds in NA, PC, EU, Xbox EU, and then of course everything in NA. So Xbox, PS4, PC, all the things. You can find the show wherever podcasts are free. And don't forget to subscribe, by the way. That way you can get your episodes automatically to your device every single week. Cash, they can follow us on Twitter at...
You can hit us up at JibsIRL. Cash, the cash is with a K. And most importantly, the show. On Twitter, we are at LoreSeekersCast. And you can also hit us up at Instagram at LoreSeekers. You can hit us up on Twitch right here at twitch.tv/LoreSeekersPodcast. And most importantly, tonight, we want to know all the ways we can find Hyperpixie.
That's right, Pixie.
So you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Hyperpixie Gaming, on Instagram at Hyperpixie Gaming, and then on Twitter at Hyperpixie Games, because Hyperpixie Gaming was too long. So you can find me, and also Hyperpixie if you search Hyperpixie on YouTube, you'll come across my channel, which is pretty barren and very old at this point. But you can find me on all those social media platforms.
Awesome. You did so good. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. For those of you who don't know, this is her very first episode of a podcast she's ever been a part of, and she crushed
Yes.
it.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
And guys, her stream is really a lot of fun to watch. And you the friends sometime.
I
Talk to
should
us
what?
about that. You stream with one of your friends sometimes. Talk to us
Yes.
about her.
My best friend, Avi Ale from She Heals I Tank, they do Final Fantasy XIV podcasting and streaming. I have introduced her to the world of Elder Scrolls Online, and so every other Friday, we stream Elder Scrolls Online together, and on those off weeks, we stream Final Fantasy XIV, which I am a complete noob at, and oh my god, she had to teach me how to run in that game. So when I say complete noob, I really mean it. It's a lot of fun. She's hilarious. I just have a massive fail fest every time they throw me on Final Fantasy, and it's a huge blast. So you guys, I know there's a lot of overlap in the ESO and Final Fantasy XIV community, so definitely check Avi out and her husband at She Heals I Tank, and they are amazing. It's so much fun streaming with Avi. She's awesome.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's normally a big fat giggle fest when you guys are
Yes.
together. It's so much fun to watch. So hop in and take a watch.
That is awesome. Pixie, thanks so much for joining us on the show for the very first listener week. We were so happy to have you here.
Thanks again for having me. This was so much fun.
Good. Glad you liked it.
Good.
Well, everybody, we'll see you next week. You stay safe. Be awesome. Open the door for somebody. Buy their meal. And we'll see you next week at Elsewhere.
Bye.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Dilly dilly.
And cut. Woo.
Yay!
That's it,
Thanks, you
folks.
crushed it.
You did
Thank you.
so
You
good.
did so well.
So
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
freaking proud of you. You nailed it. That was awesome. Chat.
I didn't even projectile vomit, so that was
I
good.
did. I didn't vomit all over my monitor.
The night is still young, Pix.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, everybody in chat, we gotta go. We gotta do our rounds here. Thank you so much to all the followers. We got Das Mole, Jebro Unity, Super Nerd Dalton. We've also got Kren Z23, Draken Leader, and let's see what else we got here for subscribers. We've got tier 1 subs from Super Dalton, from Geek Freak, And Loreseeker Day, 2 months. Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thank you guys.
And
Loreseeker friends.
yeah, hosted from Minute Pro, and I think there was one other. Oh yeah, Hyperpixie. Thank you, everybody. You're all awesome.
Thank you tons. By the way, Geek Freak, I did not finish the bottle of whiskey you bought me yet. This was another one. This was Michter's bourbon.
Jealous.
It's really freaking good.
It looks really good. Looks Irish.
I know. I gotta go crack into another one right now.
There you go.
The
Oh,
nice
look at the
young
baby. Look at the little kitty. Look at that kitty. I just want to
Oh,
squeeze it.
little button.
Oh my gosh. Look at those eyes. Oh, God.
They keep changing
Oh.
colors. They were blue and now they're getting more green,
Oh my
and they're
gosh.
so pretty.
Is that a
and
boy
I
or-
love it.
Is that a boy or girl?
We think boy, but we asked 3 different vet techs and none of them were really sure. So we're
Oh, well,
going
you
with
ha-
boy for now.
Pixie, you got to do this with fur, and if there's balls there when you do that, it is a boy.
Well, we felt a little something, so we're thinking boy. But we went with like the gender neutral name of Storm, so that way it's easy to kind of flip it around and make it a little more girly.
Oh
You
my
know what you
gosh,
got to
that's
do is you gotta live chat with Jen, our vet, and then you got to do the same thing with the fur and go. Is this a boy or a girl?
I will hold him. I will expose him on Twitch if she wants to
Oh
come and
my-
sex my cat for
Oh my
me.
god, I
'Cause I
want
don't
to
know.
hug. I want to hug and love that cat so bad.
I know. It's just like a perfect
He's-
scarf.
Yeah.
He's
Over
eating
my
my
neck.
hands right now, but he can be very sweet when he's sleeping.
Oh, that's
He's a
cute.
cat.
All right, chat. Well,
Miss
everybody.
Von Jamestein. Hang on, Miss Von Jamestein. We are not married yet. That will happen.
Mediocre Maestro subs for 2 months. Just didn't want to disturb the podcast, but here's the thing. That's awesome. Thanks for the sub. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Yeah.
Much appreciate.
All
My
right.
boyfriend also popped up in chat with
Oh, that's awesome. Joe Jin
And
the
then-
Nether Regions.
Oh, Bicker Jams. Cool. Yeah, welcome,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome.
Oh, okay,
Thanks
cool.
for-
Yeah,
Thanks
he's
for
in the
allowing her-
Loreseekers Guild too.
Baker.
awesome.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Thanks for letting us borrow her for a little while.
Yeah.
She's very talented.
Very good.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Well, we're kicking the stream off. You all have a good night. Stay safe. And, gosh, next time's elsewhere, man. Have a good night.
One last thing, really fast before you end it. Victorious Viking wants a dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
Hang on. I
Thanks
gotta do
for
this
having
right.
me.
Oh my gosh, he's doing the. He's doing it. Nope. Wait for it.
Dilly dilly.
You're a special kind of stupid. All right, everyone, take care.